We've got one of our more non-traditional sports today, but definitely one of the more successful programs we have here at West Texas A&M. That is our equestrian program. And joining us today is Amanda Ellis. Amanda is and has been the head coach of the WT equestrian program. This is her 13th year as head coach. You want to talk about success? The program itself has won 14 straight Western Regional Championships, 4 consecutive hunt seat titles. And I know some of us online are saying, what is that? That's part of what we're going to find out today when we visit with Coach Ellis. In addition, she also coached the 2012-13 Lady Buffs to the Western National Championship team title. She's joined today by her assistant coach, Selena, as well as student athlete Kendall Wilmer. Kendall is a senior from Sedona, Arizona, but she's still in Canyon right now. And first, Coach Ellis, congratulations on the success to this point, and thanks for joining us this morning. In a perfect world, you and your ladies would be prepping to head off to the IHSA National Championships within the next week, but obviously that's not happening. Tell us a little bit about your season to the point that the curtain was pulled down.
Yeah, certainly, Kent. We appreciate the time and everyone logging on today, but this has been one of those years where Selena and I sat down as a coaching staff, and we talked about what goals we wanted to see this team be able to achieve. And we looked at the pool of seniors that we had, the pool of upperclassmen and upper level riders. And we looked at the carryover from our last year to this year. And we sat down pumped up about this year when we look back at September, when we made some roster choices and started pulling people onto this team and started practicing with our 43 that we started the roster with this year. And I can't tell you how electric it was during the fall semester. I'm looking at the potential and the drive and the intent of this team we were looking at a national championship from literally day one, saying that's where we're going. And then it was just about building the dream for our new riders and our new athletes as they kind of joined in, because for so many of them, as they look at a year, they go, okay, I'm excited. I love this thing. And they have no idea how big the spectrum of opportunity is here at WT when you're a part of BuffNation. I think so many kids come here as raw talent, and they look at their year and they're like, man, I'm going to develop. I'm going to win something, and that's going to be great. And as a coaching staff at WT, so often we're like, here's the thing, you're looking this big, and we need to really open up the spectrum of opportunity that you should be pushing for. And that's really what our fall looked like for our team, for Selena and I, as far as what we got excited for and what we pushed for. As we transitioned into this spring semester, is that we were hosting a lot. We were putting on a lot of events here at WT and helping to host events at other locations as well. And that kind of wears on the team, is trying to put together a really good event and manage one in addition to competing well. I think that wears at just the longevity of the season, because we go from September until May, and that is a push. That is a mental and physical push, as our athletic trainer will tell you on the physical side. But when we transitioned from our regular season and we got to that first step of postseason with our region championship, it's like we lit the fuse one more time. And we were super excited as Selena and I made choices on team riders, and we looked for that push of our individuals going forward, is that we sat back and said, man, we've got too many good choices. We've got too many great people to figure out who our starters are going to be. What a great problem to have. And I can tell you that when the rug got pulled on, Corona Mester 2020, is that it hurt to the core, all of our student athletes, and not just the seniors. I think seniors are the ones who feel it the deepest and the rawest, but those kids that said, I was ready. I was so ready. And it was literally a week before our qualifier. And I sit on the board of directors for our national championship and help with the planning of that. And so I was on the inner loop of all those discussions, and it makes it, I think, that much harder, because you're like, please give them a chance. We'll wear masks. We'll wear gloves. We'll ride in a body condom. Whatever you want us to do, we will figure it out. And trying to find every answer, but just realizing that the safety of our participants, the safety of our country, and the safety of our citizens is just more important. So that was the hard part in that reality, but the preparation is just a championship level every time.
I know probably more so than any other athletic program on campus, Amanda, you have to almost explain what your sport is. As you mentioned, you've got a fall season, you've got a spring season, you've got championships, but you're not NCAA, yet you compete against many of the schools that we watch play football on Saturday afternoons from the big stadiums and the big venues. So tell us, if you will, I know you've got this down pat, but exactly how equestrian works, how you compete from week to week and qualify for these regional qualifiers and national championships.
Yeah, for sure. And so equestrian is unique, and by unique, that means a little weird, and we get that. So some of the cool things about equestrian is it's similar to gymnastics and kind of the way that it's set up, being an individual sport as well as a team sport, kind of simultaneously operates under that auspice of individuals are earning points and successes, and they're doing it under the umbrella of their team as well. The other thing that makes it similar to kind of a gymnastics is that it is a judged event. And so with that, our officials aren't really out there, in their vertical stripes looking a little less than slimming, but instead they're out there in a cowboy hat, and they're making judgments on our team as being closest to the industry standards possible, similar as you might see in Olympic level gymnastics. And so with that is that we prepare and train to be judged against a standard rather than against a time or a clock or a goalpost and how we operate. The thing that makes equestrian most unique is that we compete in 4 events. So we compete in horsemanship and reining on the western side, and then also equitation on the flat and equitation on the fences on the hunt seat side. Hunt seat, if you think about the Olympics and jumping, that's our hunt seat riders. Our western, we're going to be a little less, cowboyish than John Wayne, but we're looking at the same saddle there. We're looking at sliding stops, fast spins, and transition work in that, but in the traditional cowboy or western saddle. So we kind of have those 2 things operating sometimes independently, but we are one team and one activity. So kind of like track and field in that, it's one group, even though they have the field players and they have the track players operating. And then if that's not enough to be like, whoa, that's weird, you got a lot going on, then you got to take the horse element and the fact that we have these 4-legged athletes that we need to maintain and be able to add value to as well. And probably the coolest thing about that is that when we go and compete in equestrian, we train on our horses all year, semester long. We have 50 horses here at the university that we maintain and keep up to date on training and ability. But when we go and travel, we actually ride the unfamiliar horse. And so like say we go down to Texas Tech to go compete against them. Our riders step into the pen, they pull a name out of a hat, they step on it like it's their own, and they have no warm-up time in what they do, and they go and compete on them. And so there's no pressure, like, people always talk about critical thinking skills and soft skills of student athletes, like critical thinking, decision-making, pressure situations. Well, you're sitting on a horse that you've never sat on before that weighs 1,200 pounds. You're riding it at 25 miles per hour at a 3-foot jump saying, I really hope this works out. There's the other side of it. And so our students, I would say, are well honed on their critical thinking skills and problem solving, in that they are riding the unfamiliar horse every single time they compete. So they're not preparing one horse to compete on. They're preparing themselves to communicate with a variety of horses and to be judged to a standard.
So it sounds like on one hand, those horses are well-trained, but on the other hand, horsemanship on the part of your ladies is incredibly high.
Very much so, because I always tell them they're number ones at kind of bluffing, is that they need to make this look easy no matter how hard they're working. And I think that's true with any judged event in athletics, is that you're working your tail off. Just tell me how easy this is. And so that's why we train as hard as we do, is being able to have that standard of excellence for our riders, and being able to have just as much, we always call it a toolbox in our team, is that having the biggest toolbox possible. So that way, when you step on a horse and you go, it's a bit of a fire-breathing dragon, I'm going to pull like I'm on Juanita, I'm going to kick like I'm on Henry, I'm going to pick up and utilize these skills that I've developed on a variety of horses to be able to cater to this one horse that I'm sitting on today. It's not about just having one standard and saying, well, today I got the bad draw, or I had the bad horse. There's no such thing in that. It's our ability to communicate with that. And that's what our student athletes are going to find when they head out to the professional world, is that it's not about a bad boss. It's about communicating with that boss and trying to take that same skill set as they transfer over.
Now, one of the guests that we have with us today is your assistant coach, Selena Finn. Why don't you introduce Selena? And then Selena, tell us a little bit about your background and what brought you to WT. And also, it's a little different how you work with your kids. So talk a little bit about how you coach when you've got a young lady on a horse.
Yeah, Selena's got some unique situations. And just to give you a little background on Selena, she's in her 2nd year of her master's program here at WT. So she's actually a full-time student in addition to helping coach equestrian. And she came from a very successful student athlete experience in showing an equestrian as well. She was actually the AQHA High Point Rider her freshman year, which is the most highly coveted opportunity for Western riders in our association of about 10,000 riders on an annual basis. So Selena's had a lot of individual success and was able to carry that experience over to help us on the Western side specifically on developing our student athletes. I would say that Selena had the most amount of experience for her first year is that last year she and another graduate student, Maggie Murphy, actually helped coach the team during our national championship, and they were there to help coach Kendall during her 2 individual national championships. Well, I was at home being a slacker having a baby. And so I'm just saying is that Selena got the trial by fire of being a first-time coach and being able to go to the highest level possible. So we're really proud of all the things she's been able to do in these last 2 years with us. So I'll turn it over to her, and she can kind of give you some insight on the tricks of the trade.
Yeah, thanks, Coach, for that intro. Yeah, like I said, I basically went from being a student athlete to being a coach. So it's been a great 2 years that I have experienced and everything. Yes, it was a little bit different in the beginning, just being so close to those the students' ages as well. But the team has been great for me. I've learned so much on the coaching side. I've really set high expectations for those girls on the Western side of things, helped me grow as a person. It's been a great experience, especially dealing with not having coached there when we were doing our national championship. It's definitely a lot of growth time there. For me personally, it's been amazing being able just to be part of such a successful program and just seeing all of these girls grow from definitely just from not coming in knowing a lot of horse experience to seeing them win their first blue ribbon at a show and being a part of that and helping them gain all those tools that you say that for our toolbox has been just amazing. And I'm just super happy that I was able to be a part of this.
So we'll let you talk coaching for just a minute. And Amanda, you can chime in as you see fit. We think of the run-of-the-mill sports, the footballs, the basketballs, and the coaches are there at practice on the field right next to the student athlete, coaching them through the drill. During the games, they're on the side, huddling up and all that stuff. What role do you play with the young ladies on the roster? And then when you go to a competition, is it more of a mental aspect that you're focusing on, or how does coaching come into play?
Probably the biggest aspect in coaching and equestrian is all about preparation. It's being able to remind and give confidence to our students in the skill set that they have to solve the problems, because it's one of those scenarios that we make one heck of a plan walking into the competition arena, and then a lot of times we sit on a horse and that horse says, this plan's not going to pan out for me, and you throw out plan A, plan B, plan C, and you get all the way to plan double W before you go, this one's going to work. And it's reminding student athletes and building that toolbox that, like we talk about, and the confidence to utilize and dig into that toolbox and be like, oh, it's a metric size 27 wrench that I need today to be able to get that left lead on them, to be able to work through those scenarios. So much of what we do is just trying to help build confidence in their ability to know that they have the solution, they have the answer, and that any question that gets asked to them in competition, it's being able to immediately pick it up and step into that answer that they have. And so that's a big part of what we do is just strategy. I would say is the biggest part at home is preparation and strategy. And then when we get there, it's helping them just believe that they have the ability to do it. Because as many times as Selena and I've tried, we can't ride double behind somebody in a competition pen. We keep getting told no. So I can't physically move their body parts where they're supposed to be. And so Selena and I have mastered the art of being able to talk fast, talk quick, and be able to solve problems really quick and be able to help them, because so many times in what we do is that you're solving a problem that a horse is presenting in its split-second moments of being able to either you're right or you're 3 seconds late, and now that answer is wrong. And being able to help them to be successful. And so it's a lot of timing, but it's also just preparation, what we do. And maybe Selena has some different aspects, because for her, it's been a lot different from her being so close in competition and remembering those holes in the training and being able to say, all right, I got to help these kids not make mistakes that I did and help find the successes that she did.
Yeah, I agree, especially on the days, the shows, I believe it's a lot of mental preparation for those girls. And I think Coach and I, we do a great job of, we have to make sure that they are mentally prepared to get on that 1,200-pound animal. So we take a lot of time before they go and compete, which can just be 5 minutes long when they're in that arena showing. So we take a lot of time the day of the show to make sure that they are mentally prepared. We'll go over their transitions with them and their patterns just in their heads before they can even hop on that horse. So,
Amanda, tell us your general roster size, and when you travel to an event, how many of the young ladies go to compete?
Yeah, for sure. So when we have our roster, typically at the beginning of our year is right around 40 to 45 is kind of where we try to stay at. And then typically we have a few that will drop off mid-semester for various reasons. But we kind of treat it like a family here at WT, is that's our intent. And 40 sounds like a really large, weird, religious cult type of family. And it is to a level, I'll be honest. But with that is that if they're here with us, we want them to stay, and we want to have them on the roster because they add value. And we want to make sure that during their time with us, they know that they add value, and it can look a lot different for everybody on what that value is. So what we start with is usually what we stay with, as opposed to many other sports where they kind of red card things along the way, is that we try to do all our filtering on the front side. And that 40 number that's hunt seat and Western, and that's red shirt, and that's varsity. Those are people who are competing, and those are all the way down to those who are just stepping on with minimal experience. So when we go and compete, 40 is a large number to fit in a van. So realistically, we're probably traveling about 20, maybe 25 at the most. And our competition area is very similar to the Lone Star Conference, but it's not technically the Lone Star Conference. So we are majority of North Texas. We go south of Lubbock, we go over to the Fort Worth area, and then usually up in the Oklahoma City area as well is kind of where we travel to. So we're not hitting too far. And then once we make it to normal non-corona mester scenarios, is that then we start competing against the rest of the country. So that 20 to 25 is they qualify to postseason. Typically we're looking at about a dozen is our normal number to be qualifying and trying to get to a national championship on a regular basis.
And of your roster, it looks like we have about 15 of the young ladies with us today, one of which, Kendall, you specifically invited to join us. So tell us a little bit about Kendall, and then let's hear Kendall and her experience at WT.
Yeah, for sure. So our good friend Kendall Wilmer is our Western captain this year, and she is a super unique individual. This is a kid who came in with some talent that was beyond what you ever expect a freshman to walk into the plate with. And then she had that drive and that want to make the really, really good even better and great. And we've been able to see her make that transition in her 4 years to the level of, I would say, even phenomenal. Is that this is a kid who's really pushed herself and driven and has a great attitude. And probably my favorite thing about Kendall, in addition to having a lot of success as a youth rider in her youth career, is got a ton of accolades along with it, is this is somebody who hunts a team success first and foremost. And she can't wait to see her entire team be at the same level that she is. And it's fun to even watch, is that when she has the opportunity on a choice between I'm going to show individually or I'm going to compete with the team, every single time she pushes to make her team better. And that's something that you don't see in these standout athletes. And she's a very humble young lady. She comes from Sedona, Arizona. Her family is into horses. She's going to go professionally and go become a horse trainer when she finishes here at WT in, like she mentioned, 1 week. So it's looming here fast. But probably some standout moments for her is that Kendall has been named most outstanding player in multiple NCEA competitions we've done. She's won 2 national championships through the Intercollegiate Horse Show Association. And what's unique about that is last year, during her junior year, she won the open horsemanship, which is the highest level of Western competition. And then she also won novice equitation over fences. So being able to compete not only in Western, but in hunt seat and do it really freaking well is pretty unheard of. The last time that happened in the IHSA was around 2008 for any competitor anywhere in the association to win 2 national championships, 1 in each discipline. So very, very unique situation. And the best part about, we call her out, well, her coach unfortunately calls her Schmendel because we had a little issue on, deciding that we were going to have fun while doing this when she was a freshman, and Schmen had to have a lot more fun than what she was wanting to have. Is that she does this with a really fun and humble heart, and that she is uber competitive. This kid is hunting the win every single time, but she's never going to cut somebody else down along the way to get that. And so that's one of our favorite accolades, and that's why she is our Western captain this year. And was on the track to lead us to a national championship in multiple levels. And so we're really glad to have her, and I'll turn it over to her. And I'm sure you've got some great questions for Schmen.
Oh, thanks, Coach. I really appreciate that. I honestly have learned so much to this team, and I can't believe that it's over. Like Coach Love said, in 1 week, it seems too short. I just can't believe that all this is coming to a close. I feel like I've devoted 4 years of my life to such an amazing program, and I can't wait to see where this program goes in the future. I think it's going to be a phenomenal, even though we already are outstanding, I think it's just going to continue to grow and just be amazing. And so, yes, it was really sad when all this coronavirus hit. I think that the worst part, like Coach Love was saying, was that we would have taken 2 teams to a national championship. And it was so sad to see that kind of pulled out from underneath of us. But hindsight, I mean, it is for the greater good, unfortunately. But I am going to miss everything about this team and about this program. So.
Before we continue on, the ground rules, if you've got a question, just raise your hand, wave it, and we'll call on you. It can be one of BuffNation. It can be maybe one of the team members out there that has a point they'd like to make as well. So, Kendall, we'll continue with you. Tell us a little bit about your experience here at WT. You came here from Arizona, Sedona, Arizona. Tell us your major. And Coach mentioned you going into, I believe she said, horse trading after graduation. You know, my dad talks about horse trading, and that's when you stand around, have a cold drink in your hand, and chat. And I know that's not what you're doing for a living there. So tell us a little bit about what brought you here, what you're majoring in, and what the future holds.
Okay, so my major is actually agricultural media and communication with a minor in English. So I came to WT way back when, I think I was a junior in high school. I came and visited because I had a friend that went to school here and would not stop talking about this great program and this great coach and this great school. And I'm pretty sure that's all I heard for about 2 years, my freshman and sophomore year. So I finally visited, and after I came for 1 weekend during a horse show, I just fell in love with the program and the school. And I didn't know at the time what I was getting myself into. I mean, showing competitively throughout high school and middle school, it's a very different situation than showing collegiately. So I think the switch between high school and becoming a team sport is something that a lot of people aren't prepared for. But honestly, the team aspect is just outstanding. So I came to WT as with some horse knowledge, but I think that my skills and knowledge has just blossomed under Coach Love and Coach Finn. I think that this program has really made a huge difference in not only my riding, but in my personal life too. I have a lot to thank for this program. So.
Let's go back to Coach Ellis here for just a minute as I interrupt. Do most of the ladies come in with a horsemanship background, or are these ladies from, you know, the country, rural areas, so to speak, or is it all walks of life and this is their first exposure?
Yeah, for sure. So number one is it is all walks of life. Pretty much the only requirement is you have to be a solid level of weirdo to be able to be a part of this program, because we do stretch your abilities pretty far. But what's unique in our association is to be a team, we have to have riders at all levels of experience. So we need those like Kendall who have competed at a youth national championship and had success there. We need riders who have competed maybe at the local level, and then all the way down to, we actually have a division in our association that we have to have somebody in to be a team where they could have never competed before in an equine association. So they can have never had any sort of track record. So they are literally the Rudy of Notre Dame, is a requirement within our team. And so some of the cool things is like Coach Finn was mentioning, is that you take those who have zero experience that are from an urban area, or maybe have just enjoyed horses as a pastime, but not as a competition before, and help tune that interest and that enthusiasm and train it and be able to go win a championship with them. WT has actually won, I believe, 6 national championships in the beginner division, which are those who have never competed prior to coming WT. So it's kind of a unique situation. And it's a really fun group to get to do. And then the great part is people like Kendall are pouring into those, giving them their past experience and saying, here's some things I've learned. Let me help you make that gap close a little bit sooner on being able to understand this industry and this style of riding. And so that's a really common part of what we do. And then also to help out poor Kendall because she undersells herself a lot. Kendall is also a part of the Rogers Lead WT program here at West Texas. And so she will be graduating with a leadership certificate as well during virtual graduation 2020. And being able to express that. And Equestrian's unique in that we have had a student in every single graduating class of the Rogers Lead WT program, because that's the type of kids who are a part of it, Equestrian, who are interested and excited about this experience is having those leaders, because if they don't show up like that, they leave like that, because it's a part of how we operate within our student body.
And let's go back to Selena, not to pick on you here, but we're going to keep the coaching staff involved. Let's talk COVID-19 for a minute. You've had your team together. A bulk of them seem to still be in Canyon, but some have gone back home. How are you staying in contact with the young ladies? How are they staying in horsemanship condition? Do you have workouts that you're sending to them? Just the team is fractured. We got to stay together. Tell us about that.
Yeah, for sure. We're pretty split right now. A lot of girls, they have decided to go home, but we still like to keep up with everyone, keep sending emails, always missing their faces. It's so nice to see some of their faces on here right now. For the girls that are here, I'm actually going through, for grad school, I'm going through my research trial right now, and some of those girls are actually helping me exercise some of our WT horses that are used in my trial. So that's pretty awesome. And then for the other girls, since we are right now at the horse center closed off, hopefully the girls will be able to, well, as soon as I've been, probably by the time we'll be back open, the girls will be gone. But right now, Coach Kozak, he is doing some workouts with the girls now, so they're staying in shape. So that's pretty awesome. A lot of girls, they do have, if it's an opportunity, they do have some horses at home that they're riding. So we like to keep pushing them to just keep trying to be in the saddle as much as possible, keep staying healthy.
Any questions for Amanda or Selena or Kendall? Casey, go ahead.
Okay, Amanda, you made the comment that it takes, I think, a special kind of weirdo to be an equestrian, or something in that reference. So based on the faces that you see on the screen, which a majority of the faces I can see, I think are probably your student athletes, who's probably the weirdest one you have currently on your team?
Well, let me just preface that, because I'm gonna have to flip through. Let me preface that one of the coolest things about this is, like, student athletes. So you come and you think, like, man, I'm a bad mamma jamma. Like, I had a good student athlete career during my high school. Like, I got my life together. And then you show up to college and you're a student athlete here, and all of a sudden, like, college athletics, like, cuts you a little, like, they bake you this nice little pie, they cut you a nice large slice, and then they shove it in your face, and it's called humble pie. And we're like, and so if you're not a weirdo, you don't appreciate that moment of eating the humble pie. The weirdos, they're like, nom, 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 this is great. Can I have some more? Let me learn from it. But in reality, like, these kids are freaking weird because they keep coming back for more. So just to give you some examples in here on my little weirdos. So my favorite ones are those that came in with minimal experience and kept saying, give me more, give me more, give me more, give me more. So, like, let's just give 2 examples here. I'm gonna have to go with 3. So Delaney and Jordan, my 2 that I can see right now, they're staring me in the face. These girls literally had no experience competing on horses. And they show up in my office and they're like, so I heard about this thing. You said you had tryouts. Like, can I do it? And I was like, and I tried really hard to talk them out of it. Like, in reality, like, I sell the bad side of it. Like, we work really hard. You're going to get kicked by something. You're going to fall off. Like, it's going to suck. You're going to lose a lot. Like, do you really want this? And both of them were like, yes, I want it. And it takes a special kind of weirdo to commit to this. So I always say that they had to have a secret life before coming to WT and committing to this. Like, they had to be crazy committed to another activity. So I have kids who have done this who were like, they were synchronized swimmers. They did water polo. They played soccer at a crazy level. Like, they did something else competitive in their life. And now they're just funneling that, and they're moving it into this. And I love those ones. So, like, Jordan, for example, I think her team would probably hands down agree, like, this is a stone cold weirdo. Like, this one is a little bit on the, we're pushing the edge of, should we be committed or not? And she's a super fun kid, but this kid went to a semifinals, which is a step before a national championship, with 9 months of training. How many times did you compete, Jordan? You have to turn off your mute for us. She'd been in the show pen 3 or 4 times, and we're like, hey, we think you're ready to push for a national championship. And the fear in her face, but also the trust of like, okay, you say so. I believe everything else you've told me, whether it was a good idea or not. Like, these are my weirdos. So we're pretty proud of them.
Any questions for Coach? All right, I see a hand there. Clarissa.
I just wanted to say that I think all first girls are a little bit weird. My mom, the first time she came to one of our collegiate competitions, she's like, you know what, you're always weird around your buddies at Foxfield. And you know what, these girls are a little weird too. So I think it's something that comes with us as equestrians. We have to be a little odd.
So true. Although Selena keeps trying to tell me on her collegiate team, they weren't nearly as weird. She said that they were very straight-laced, but I think she's just trying to make herself feel better that she was very normal coming into this team.
One thing that definitely sticks out here at WT Equestrian is we are very loud at any competition, and we will out-cheer everyone. We can cheer for other competitors and other teams. That is one thing that was a little bit different for me. Definitely not a shouter, but WTS definitely made me cheering a lot. So we definitely like to shout.
Imagine
noises.
Yeah. Imagine the Maroon Platoon showing up to a golf meet. That's what equestrian is. So is it appropriate? Maybe not. Do you get used to it? Yeah, eventually you do. And then you give in and you're like, yeah, la, 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 so loud. But you know what is that you got to love the journey, because the results always not always what you want. Corona Mester 2020, not always what we wanted, but the journey is what the important part is. So we cheer for the journey along the way.
All right, who has a question or a comment for Amanda or Selena? Brittany, go ahead. Go ahead,
Okay,
Brittany.
I think I got it. Okay. I know I love the fact that y'all are all weird. I think that's great. And I think it definitely brings a lot of personalities to your program. So do you think that that helps you guys mesh together as a team with all of the athletes? And then you guys as coaches, does it help you kind of create your one group, I guess, or your one family to have all those different type of people in your program?
Oh, for sure. I think that so often in what we do is when you come to college to come compete and be a student athlete, you kind of want to prove yourself really bad. And you want to say like, man, I deserve this. Like, let me tell you about all the things I did and all the places I've been and all the teams I was on. And you really want to prove your way to being successful those first few years, or you want to just earn it every single time you step in the competition arena. And in reality is that a team doesn't care whether you win, lose, or draw. Is that they care about the effort and the personality and the soft skills, and they care about what you added to their life beyond just the wins and the losses. I always tell people during our tryout process is that I can teach you to be a great rider in 4 years. Like, that's really easy, but it's really hard for me to teach you to be a great human in 4 years. Like, that's going to take a lot more beating than I can probably legally do in a competition scenario. And so with that is that when you bring out the weird and you encourage that, you encourage people to appreciate the differences in each other. And we don't say that from like, everyone's politically correct here, but to just appreciate that everyone has an area that they add value in. And when you get loud and you get obnoxious, is that it blends together so nicely, and it blends together in a way that they remember that long when they're gone from here.
Amanda, a little earlier, I believe it was Selena, mentioned Coach Ben Kozak working with the young ladies. Strength and conditioning, riding a horse, what are the areas of the body that you're focusing on?
So that's one of those unique situations where until you do it, you don't really say, you're like, oh, they just sit there, right? They just sit there. I know my student athletes have heard that a million times. Oh, how much strength does it take to just sit there really pretty? But in reality is that core muscles are huge. And in equitation and in horsemanship, it really is about holding posture and holding form. Imagine driving a Ford truck from 1979 that's a stick shift where the shocks are completely shot and you're going down a river road like this, and you're trying not to bounce on the seat the entire time. That's about what it feels like on most of our sitting trot in our Western horsemanship, is that you're trying to hold everything still posture wise. So shoulders, core, your upper thigh area, is all of that is trying to balance yourself onto a horse that has its own dynamic movement the entire time. And so we aren't probably getting as swole as Coach Ben would like us to, because Coach Ben also coaches strength conditioning for football. So there's times we have to be like, step back. Maybe that's great that Ferg can, deadlift 300, but maybe not everyone on our team needs to deadlift 300 this day. But he really loves being able to help us. And he and I came up with a term, I think it was last summer, about getting posture jacked, is that it's all about like really reinforcing great posture and great overall core strength and ability to hold position for an extended amount of time. Because for them, they're in the pen for up to 10 minutes at a time on literally holding everything. So I just challenge them, like right now, they're all sitting in front of their Zoom camera and they're like this. I'm like, try to sit with perfect posture for your entire class today. And all of them are sweating and crying by the end of class, because anybody who tries to hold perfect posture for an extended amount of time, like that'll wreck you. It's hard. Your grandmother was right for beating you upside the head to try to get you to do it early in life.
And as we've been doing this Zoom meeting, I notice Kelly and Sydney have been on a horse going around. Is that part of their practice routine? And at one point, I think Kelly's horse broke into a gallop. I was grabbing onto my desk, falling off. But tell us a little bit, is that just fun and games for them, or are they working the horses out?
Oh, it's both. Is that it's always a work for both. Is that being able to create extended cardio on horses means that we're riding, any of our normal ride is between about 30 minutes to about an hour and a half, depending on what you're working on. So Kelly's been jumping her horse BJ around, I imagine, in the background there, and Kelly looks like Sydney's riding a variety pack of horses, because that's not Kobe she's sitting on. So we're sitting on all kinds of things. And so realize that during that time is that not only are they, holding posture and working on themselves, but they're also working in problem solving with their horses. And so they are going to be walk trotting and cantering around, and they're traveling anywhere up to 35 miles per hour. They're being able to hold themselves in the middle of, it's like trying to sit on the hood of a convertible driving around an obstacle course, trying to hold yourself in the middle of it. And so there's a lot of strength work in there, but also you got to make sure your horse is cardiovascularly fit as well. And so being able to extend and work on their lung capacity. So it's a twofer at all times. We're never just working on one.
Any more questions for the ladies? Casey, go ahead.
Okay, so I know over the past couple of years, I've brought my daughter out there and fed the horses, apples and carrots and some of those things. But during this time, since, COVID happened and all of that, is there anything that, we can do to kind of help support, maybe the horses or the girls or just your program, anything like that outside of just the normal, showing up with a 3-year-old and giving carrots to horses?
Yeah, and that's the hardest question right now, is we at the Horse Center are just like the rest of society, is that the best way to support is honestly to stay home. Is that we're having a really hard struggle with that, because I know for these girls whose faces would love to be at the Horse Center, is that when I say home in Canyon, Texas, they think of the Horse Center. This is their home. This is where they spend way too much time on a regular basis, and we love that about them. But right now, we at the WT Horse Center are closed to the public unless you are an essential personnel who has to be here. And so we don't have any visitors. We don't even have our student athletes coming right now, which absolutely kills us. My horses right now are working on their dad bods, is that they are fat and out of shape. Unfortunately, Wango Tango is not getting his cinnamon Pop-Tarts right now, which are his favorite treat to be able to get. And he can hear a Pop-Tart wrapper about a mile away. But that's the hardest thing, is that the best thing we can do as a community right now is to still stay home until it's been deemed safe for us to start interacting with each other. And it is the hardest thing to stay away from what is your secondary family, which is your team, and be able to stay away from your favorite place in the world, which creates all your happy memories, which is the Horse Center for most of our student athletes. So ways that they can support in addition to that is to not drop off the face of the earth, people. We're still here. And keep following us. Claire Barley's doing a great job keeping our social media up to date and being able to highlight some of our seniors. Also, you can be voting for Ava Charlin and Kendall Wilmer on our Bucky Awards. So if you haven't done that already, we'll plug there to be able to keep them going. and be able to keep that going. And then once we get started back again, guys, is that we love having BuffNation come out to our horse shows. And we realize sometimes it's a little confusing. Sometimes it's like watching paint dry. You know, you got to love golf to watch golf on TV. You got to love equestrian to come to watch equestrian. But I promise, one of these crazies in the down below boxes of the Brady Bunch thing that you're looking at right now, they would love to sit with you and talk you through what it is we do. Because having support makes it feel that much more special when you win championships. And I think Kendall can attest to that. Is standing in the winner's ring by yourself, not that cool. Standing in the winner's ring with everybody you love and supports you, that's a pretty awesome feeling. And that's what BuffNation really is.
Sydney, I believe you had a comment.
Say that I have to go, but I am so proud of this program. Breaks my heart into a million pieces that I can't be back with y'all. I might start crying. I love you guys so much, and it was really good seeing all your cute little faces. So I'll see you guys later.
We love you, Sid.
Love you. Bye.
Any more questions for coaches Ellis or Finn or any of the young ladies? There we go. Is it Chris?
So I just wanted to add, Brittany, she said earlier, like, how does the team chemistry contribute to the success of this team? And the officers on our team are kind of like our team leaders. We have Jordan, Claire, Schmin, Rhea, I don't know if Rhea's on this call or not, and myself. And I have seen the team evolve into what it is today since my time as a sophomore on this team. And every year it's different. We get, especially this year, we got a lot of new people this year because we have a very big graduating class this year. And so we needed to have some people fill in our shoes, but it's been so cool. Seeing, especially as an officer this year, how much success and how far we've been able to come since day one, because all the new people were like, what is this program? Like, everybody's insane. Like, I'm so scared. And I was in the exact same shoes when I first came here. But it's been so cool watching everybody grow and learn and being able to be there for everyone, not just like in the ring, but outside of the ring as well. And I've loved getting to know everyone throughout these years. I've found a lot of my best friends on this team, and it is so hard not being able to see what our success postseason could have been like, because I had a really good feeling about this group this year. We were going to get a national championship in both Hunting and Western, and it's hard to see what could have been something so great. We'll never have the chance to see that. But my hope for this team is that we've been able to step back and see what's really important. It's not just the championship, not just going postseason and getting all the blue ribbons, but it's forming those friendships and riding our horses. We absolutely love our horses, and having those connections with people, because this is a very, very, very special team. This team has been able to take an individual sport and turn it into this team aspect, and it's one big family, and definitely been the highlight of my college career. And like I said, I'm very sad that it had to be cut short, especially for a lot of our seniors. But I do hope that with this senior class, that we are able to leave a good impact on the future freshmen, sophomores, and juniors. And I am so excited to see the success that will come in future years. And I absolutely miss and love everyone, but it's been such an honor being an officer this year and been able to lead. And I'm just so proud of everyone and how far we were able to come in and out of the ring as well.
So well said, Karis. Is that huge thank you to our officer team, as she mentioned, is that leadership dictates whether you can take talent and take it to the long stretch, or leadership dictates whether great talent just gets to squander itself away. And this leadership team on our officers, they were a huge asset in the opportunities that existed and the lasting impact, as Kara said, that will be the takeaway from this year.
Do we have any more questions or comments for either the coaches or the young ladies? Go ahead, Clarissa.
I just want to add on that Kendall and Karis have been great leaders. My junior year and coming in as a freshman, I was really scared, and I'm still pretty soft-spoken. I don't like confrontation or yelling at people, but I feel like this team has definitely given me some sense of leadership and the ability to bring, especially coming from, competing as an individual, bringing everybody together. And Kendall and Karis have just been really the people who I've looked up to, and I'm really sad to see them go. I'm about to cry.
Anyone else? Well, this has definitely been a informative and fun hour today. Our coaches Zoom with Amanda Ellis, head coach of the WT Equestrian Program, Selena Finn, the assistant coach, and all the young ladies. You certainly have built and continued a program that the entire BuffNation community is very proud of. I think it was Karis was talking about going and getting the blue ribbons, and it's something that we don't really think about or see until we read about it later. But the fact that you're doing it, that you sustain it, just an incredible foundation that you have there. And thank you for that. And thanks for joining us today.
Well, thank you, Kent. And again, thanks to BuffNation on all the support we've had over the years. Is that it's an honor to be a part of the Buffalo Pack, and it's just something that we're going to continue to do our very best to represent our supporters and our families and our university to the best of our ability. So we can't wait for that opportunity to open up again in the 2021 season.
Our next coaches Zoom will be next Tuesday, April 28th. We're going to be visiting with Michael Mook, the first-year head coach of the Lady Buff softball program. He saw his first season as head coach at WT cut short after just one homestand. And many of you know Coach Mook, but a lot of you don't. It'll be a good opportunity to visit with Mike and pick his brain about softball and the Lady Buff softball program. So until then, everybody stay safe, stay healthy. Thanks for joining us. Go Buffs.
Go Buffs.